going to start with a listening and speaking pyramid, and this is going to help lay down our kind of foundation. Okay, so just have a listen.
Era.
Era. Era.
Era. Okay, let's have a look. Era. So era is it was. Era, it was. Build on that.
Era un poco.
Era un poco. Era un poco.
Era un poco. Era un poco. So we know era is it was. Era un poco. It was a bit. So un poco, a bit.
Era un poco caro.
Era un poco caro.
Era un poco caro.
Okay, so we've built on the last one. Era un poco caro. So we knew that era poco was it was a bit. Era un poco caro. It was a bit expensive. So it was a bit expensive. Era un poco caro. And we'll come back to these pyramids a little bit later in the lesson for some fluency practice. And incidentally, we have hundreds of these pyramids included in our ProSpanish course. Okay, so let's introduce some more vocabulary. You don't have to remember all this, just go with the flow of the lesson. Okay, so caro, we just saw, was expensive, and our phrase was era un poco caro. It was a bit expensive. Think of an expensive car, caro. Next is triste, sad. Triste, sad. What do you think a bit sad might be if you remember our foundation phrase? A bit sad, what would that be? Un poco triste. Un poco triste. A bit sad. How are you feeling? A bit sad. Un poco triste. Boring is aburrido. Aburrido. Boring. Aburrido. Complicado. Complicado is complicated. Complicado. Complicated. If you remember, our foundation phrase was era un poco caro. How could you say it was complicated? Era complicado. Era complicado. So it was complicated. Next, nice and easy, grande, big or large, grande. The opposite of grande is pequeño, pequeño. The N with the squiggle on top, the ñ, pequeño, small. How would you say a bit small? Un poco pequeño. Un poco pequeño. Ruidoso is noisy. Ruidoso, noisy. And finally, short is corto. Corto, short, corto. How would you say it was a bit short? Era un poco corto. Era un poco corto. Okay, let's move along a bit. Muy, nice and easy. Muy, very, muy. What does it mean if I said muy complicado? Muy complicado. Very complicated. Demasiado is too. Demasiado, too. So what does it mean if I said demasiado caro? Demasiado caro. Too expensive. And can you remember the top of the pyramid, the word that was it was? How would you say it was too expensive? Era demasiado caro. Era demasiado caro. Next we have bastante. Bastante is quite. Bastante. What does it mean if I say bastante grande? Bastante grande. What is that? Quite big. Quite big. And one we already know, un poco, a bit. Un poco. From our foundation phrase, era un poco caro. It was a bit expensive. How would you say a bit sad? Un poco triste. Un poco triste. Okay, and our first column. It's is just es. Es. It's. Es. How would you say it's expensive? Not a bit expensive, just it's expensive. What would that be? Es caro. Es caro. It's. It was, we know, is era. Era, it was. It will be, if you think of the song Que sera, sera, so what will be, será is will be or it will be in this case. Será, it will be. How would you say it will be complicated? Será complicado. Será complicado. And it has been. It has been. And incidentally, the kind of beauty of this sort of approach is that language, which often isn't taught, in traditional courses anyway, isn't taught until much, much later, sometimes years into a course. So phrases like, or language like, it has been, is very unlikely to be taught in a traditional course until a few books in. But we can just do it now. Ha sido. It has been. Ha sido. How would you say? It's been boring. It has been boring. What would that be? Ha sido aburrido. Ha sido aburrido. And the last one is just a negative. It's not. No es. No es. So we just put no at the beginning. So how would you say it wasn't? No era. So it was, but we just put no at the beginning. No era. It wasn't. How about it won't be? What will that turn out as? No será. No será. It won't be. Okay, just listen to my phrases and see if you can work out what's being said. Era bastante grande. Era bastante grande. It was quite big. Ha sido un poco triste. Ha sido un poco triste. It has been a bit sad. How about? Es demasiado ruidoso. Es demasiado ruidoso. It's too noisy. And what does this mean? Ha sido muy aburrido. Ha sido muy aburrido. It's been very boring. It's been very boring. And we'll just take a quick pause there while I mention our very popular Levels 1 to 6 course. This takes the complete beginner or a near beginner right up to a conversational level of Spanish in a series of very easy to follow steps. All the lessons on this YouTube channel are supplementary, whereas the core levels 1 to 6 is very much a step-by-step program delivered by the same teacher as all the other videos on the ProSpanish YouTube channel. And while the style is very similar to what you'll be used to from these videos on the channel, the key difference is that every lesson carefully builds on the previous lessons so that you can really feel that progress of going from very little or no Spanish up to a level where you can confidently hold a conversation in Spanish. So again, that's available exclusively from prospanish.co.uk.
Ha sido. Ha sido. Ha sido.
Ha sido. Ha sido is it has been. Let's build on that.
Ha sido bastante.
Ha sido bastante.
Ha sido bastante.
Ha sido bastante. It has been quite.
Ha sido bastante caro.
Ha sido bastante caro. Ha sido bastante caro.
Ha sido bastante caro. It has been quite expensive. Okay, let's try this one.
Era.
Era. Era.
Era. It was. Next.
Era demasiado.
Era demasiado.
Era demasiado.
Era demasiado means it was too.
Era demasiado complicado. Era demasiado complicado.
Era demasiado complicado.
Era demasiado complicado. It was too complicated. Okay, we'll try a speaking one now. So we'll click on the microphone and then we have to say the Spanish of the line that shows. Era. Okay, so era was it was. Next one. Era un poco. Good. So we've got it was a bit so far. Era un poco. Era un poco. Okay, so I was a bit slow. Let's try again. Era un poco triste. Excellent. Let's try another one. Well, actually, let's just have a look. So, era un poco triste. And you can use this for pronunciation practice as well. So we'll just click on it now. Era un poco triste. Okay. Okay, and on this one, we're going to start in the middle. Okay, so we're going to try starting on a longer line. Es bastante. Okay, good. It's quite. Es bastante complicado. Okay, excellent. Okay, so let's go back to our grid now and try to say these sentences. So you can use the table if you want to, or you can look away. How would you say it will be quite complicated? Será bastante complicado. Será bastante complicado. How about it was too noisy? Era demasiado ruidoso. Era demasiado ruidoso. And with this kind of thing, it's very easy just to add a bit on. So, para mí is for me, para mí. So I could say, era demasiado ruidoso para mí. It was too noisy for me. How about it has been very boring. Ha sido muy aburrido. Ha sido muy aburrido. How about it was a bit short. Era un poco corto. Era un poco corto. And again, to show the versatility of this, let's say a problem is un problema. Un problema, a problem. So how would you say it was a problem? Era un problema. Era un problema. We could say it has been a problem. Ha sido un problema. Ha sido un problema. And if you learn the word for a pleasure, un placer, in Latin America that C is pronounced like an S, un placer. In Spain, un placer is a pleasure. So you could say, it has been a pleasure. How would you say that? It's been a pleasure. Ha sido un placer. Ha sido un placer. It's been a pleasure. Or it was a pleasure. Era un placer. Okay, how will you say it will be quite sad? It will be quite sad. How do you say that? Será bastante triste. Será bastante triste. Okay, so hopefully you will have seen just how quickly you can learn Spanish. Before we move on to the more advanced part of this video, another reminder that the Levels 1 to 6 course can be downloaded from prospanish.co.uk. Okay, so for this more advanced part, the final two columns are very similar, or the same, apart from one extra word in the green column. So we're going to have tan meaning so, tan. And then our first column, two uses of ojalá. And you'll notice that the sound ojalá has quite an Arabic sound, and that's because that's where the word does actually derive from. Okay, so ojalá, if used with the present subjunctive, then it can be translated as hopefully. And when ojalá is used with the past subjunctive or the imperfect subjunctive, then it acts as I wish, or we could also translate it as if only. If only. So, ojalá no sea, hopefully it won't be. Ojalá no fuera, I wish it weren't. And interestingly, we have the subjunctive isn't really a feature of the English language, but we could call this a subjunctive because we would normally have it wasn't. That's the verb that matches it wasn't. But in the case of a subjunctive in English, as in something imaginary, I wish it weren't, if only it weren't. I mean, we can actually, and probably nowadays it's more common to say, I wish it wasn't, or if only it wasn't. But traditionally, after I wish or if only, plus something hypothetical, then it would be the subjunctive. So it would be, I wish it weren't. Okay, so Have a listen and see if you can work out what's being said here. Ojalá no sea demasiado triste. Ojalá no sea demasiado triste. Hopefully it won't be too sad. Ojalá no sea tan pequeño. Ojalá no sea tan pequeño. Hopefully it won't be so small or that small. Ojalá no fuera tan complicado. Ojalá no fuera tan complicado. I wish it weren't so complicated. If only it weren't so complicated, or I wish it wasn't so complicated. Ojalá no fuera tan aburrido. I wish it weren't so boring. Okay, let's have a swap around now. How would you say, hopefully it won't be too expensive? Ojalá no sea demasiado caro. Ojalá no sea demasiado caro. How would you say, I wish it weren't so sad. Ojalá no fuera tan triste. Ojalá no fuera tan triste. How about, hopefully it won't be a problem. So I've just added a problem in there. Ojalá no sea un problema. Ojalá no sea un problema. How about, I wish it weren't a problem. Ojalá no fuera un problema. How about, I hope it's not very noisy. Ojalá no sea muy ruidoso. Ojalá no sea muy ruidoso. How about, I hope it's noisy. What would that be? Ojalá sea ruidoso. Ojalá sea ruidoso. You may know that the word for mine is mío. How would you say, I wish it were mine? Ojalá fuera mío. Ojalá fuera mío. And that concludes today's ProSpanish lesson. As mentioned earlier, if you're looking to become a confident and a competent speaker of Spanish, then head over to prospanish.co.uk where you can download the full Levels 1 to 6 course.